Hi, Nancy here, and I want to teach you how to do a crocheted steek. A steek is something that is used, most people are familiar with it with Norwegian or Fair Isle knitting. Because it's always knit in the round, whatever they do, it's more efficient, it's faster. And if you're making cardigans or even for your armholes or whatnot, you need to cut it open so you can make it all work. When you do a steek, there's, the couple ways. Some people machine knit. I don't sew. I knit, but I don't sew, so that's not a good option for me. Or there is the crochet knit way I'm doing it, and it's more organic. I don't know. I just like doing it this way. The other thing I like about it is that you really don't have to finish this when it's done. The crochet kind of rolls in nicely, and you're done. There's many knitters that do not treat their steeks at all. In other words, they just cut because they know the properties of wool keep it from unraveling on a vertical level. On horizontal. It will unravel, as we all know, when a stitch drops horizontally, but it's not too keen to do it vertically. Now, there are some things though that you want to keep in mind. If the yarn you're using is superwashed, this method probably won't work for you as well because it's going to slip. So you want to make sure you're using non-treated wool with non-treated wool. And the other thing I tell people is that I personally do not use the same weight as the yarn I knit the project with. I like to go down in gauge in the size of the yarn I'm working with. So if I did something out of worsted, I may very well go down to a sport weight or DK depending on what I have. And I always use wool. I don't use anything else. I like to use wool, non-treated wool, because I know what it's going to do, and I know over time and with blocking and wearing whatnot, it will felt. Anything that's misbehaving will felt. Now, steek stitches, the pattern will tell you, and incidentally, it's not just Fair Isle that will ask you to do a steek. You can maybe do a steek if you want to alter a pattern, something you want to change a crew neck into a cardigan, you would do the same thing. You would have to take care of those stitches and then cut them. This pin represents the cut. That's our center. This is a 7-stitch steek. And it's very typical in that it's incorporating both the colors, so they're crossing over each other. If you look on the inside, we know that everybody is accounted for in those stitches. There's 3 on each side. And what we want to do is we want to capture half a leg, half a leg, half a leg, half a leg. And that's going to open up that center so we can cut it and be done with it. So how I do it, I start out, and this is just Cascade 220. I have the green because I want you to see it, and honestly that's what I had. If I was doing something really nice, I would have the color that would be more appropriate to match this. I start a little further out. I will actually crochet along my cast on edge, and I tend to chain a few stitches here. I like to say it's a handle for me. I don't know why. It just makes me feel better. So I guess there's no real reason for it, but I always crochet 3 on here. All right. So I'm just going to go, this is my first steek stitch, and I'm just going to go into the cast on edge or bind off, whichever side you're starting with. I'm going to bring it through. Okay, and it always twists around, so. Okay, and I'm just going to bring it, give it a pull here. You know, when the camera's on, it never goes as well. Okay, there we go. All right, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to bring it through, and I'm going to go down in here, and I'm going to bring it through. So I'm just catching those stitches, and I think I can squish one more in here. That's one more, just for good measure. All right, now I'm going to turn it. Yes. Okay, so these are the stitches that I need to work with right there. So what I'm going to do, and once you get it started, it goes really fast. I'm going to take this half stitch here, that half stitch here, and then I'm going to single crochet in, see? And it really will start pulling this apart, so it's really, you'd have to try hard not to see what you need to cut. You could have basted up some dark red, bright color yarn so you could see what you're doing. I did the pin. Otherwise you can't, you're going to forget where you're going here. Okay? Now I can think, and for good measure, I'm going to remove that pin. I don't need it. See that? See how it's pulling it apart? Okay. It goes fairly fast. I mean, even if you've done this on a sweater or something, it moves right along. Once you set it up. Alright, so now we're coming to the top of this, and this is just, of course, one side. We have to do the other. So we're going to go, this is how I do it. You may have your own method. Now we're going to just go and work across, just as I did where I started. I'm just catching those stitches, just because it makes me feel better. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm just going to take my little scissors here, and I'm going to pull this up, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we're going to cut our steek.